Hey, this is Beth at BethJones.net, and I wanted to continue my video series on Guatemala. I just got back from Antigua, Guatemala, and I've had some people asking me questions, and so I wanted to try to answer the questions by video, and I'll probably be doing some blogs on it too. So because I knew that Guatemala was dangerous, I wanted to make sure it was really God. And I wanted to share in this video also about how I prepared for Guatemala. So my friend, and I'm looking over here to the side because I've got notes over here in my journal that I'm going to be referring to. So my friends Ron and Rhonda Hedra, who are missionaries there near the lake, had invited me to go there. They had asked me to speak to some women there, and I never felt like it was the right time. But I was praying about going. And then last year, I met my friend Kim Rogers on Facebook through our mutual friend, Diane Cunningham Ellis. And she was posting all these pictures and posts that inspired me, and I began to feel my heart stirring about going to Guatemala. So God confirmed it, and the way that he confirmed it to me was through two people, and that was through Ron and Kim. The Bible says in 2 Corinthians 13:1, but by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, every word shall be established. So Ron and Kim have both invited me there to Guatemala, and they had actually both invited me to stay at their home. I wound up staying in Antigua at an Airbnb, but when they both invited me and said I could stay with them, to me that was the two confirmations I was supposed to go, and that this was not just my own bright idea. I also asked God to give me dreams about going, and he gave me at least 2 dreams. I think he gave me 3, but I know that he gave me 2 dreams about going, which confirmed to me that I was supposed to go. Then I began to see videos on YouTube that I was not seeking out. They would just appear in my feed, and they're about going to the nations, getting your bags packed, conquering your fears, trusting God, and going and obeying what he told you to do. Those to me were also confirmation. It was just one after the other. It was just really amazing how he kept confirming it to me. And as I said in my other video, I am not the type of person that I need 100 confirmations. I hear God's voice. The Bible says his sheep hear his voice. So I know God's still small voice. But for something this dangerous, because Guatemala is dangerous, I wanted to make sure. Then another thing that happened is I bought Kay Nash's book. And Kay Nash is a young minister. She's very beautiful on YouTube. And she wrote this book called Intimate Jesus. And I didn't know when I bought it that she had a chapter in here. And it was about God telling her to go to Guatemala. So I thought that was wild. And I was just like, wow, God, you really do want me to go. So that was pretty amazing. Now, how did I, and God would tell Kay everywhere to go, what to say to people, what to do each day that she was over there. And it's just a really cool story. Now, how did I prepare for Guatemala? Well, the primary way that I prepared was through prayer. I needed to really hear God for something this serious because it is dangerous over there. So I prayed, I fasted some. I probably should have fasted a lot more. I have a hard time fasting because I love to eat, but I did fast some and just pressed into God to ask him to speak to me. I knew that Guatemala was dangerous, that they have coronavirus over there. I don't know what the numbers are compared to over here. Malaria, dengue fever, drug cartels. They have earthquakes. They have earthquakes every single day over there. Now, most of them you can't feel, but there are earthquakes over there, and they've had some serious ones. And back in 2018, one of their volcanoes erupted. It was Fuego in Antigua, and it killed hundreds of people. They've got volcanoes all over Guatemala. Antigua itself has 3. So I knew that was a possibility also of a volcano erupting. But I believe that God told me to go and that he would protect me. And I also believe that even if something happened over there to me, if I got sick, if I got injured, if I died, that at least I was obeying God, and I was willing to risk my life for it, because I desire to obey God. And there is an expression you may have heard, and it is, the safest place to be is in the will of God. And I just love that. I also bought travel insurance as a precaution. Now, I had already been thinking about it, and then our youngest daughter, Leah, mentioned it to me one day when I was talking to her about the trip. And I felt like Leah mentioning it was God's confirmation to me that I needed to buy it. Just as a precaution. Travel insurance covers you if your plane gets canceled for some reason. It covers your luggage if it gets lost. If someone robs you, something gets stolen. If you get sick or injured over in a foreign country, it covers your costs over there, your medical costs. And I just thought it was wisdom to get it. And so I shopped around, I got quotes on different ones, and I found one that I thought was best through World Nomads. Several people have recommended that had traveled many times before. It was about $118 for a week, or maybe a little bit longer. So I went ahead and bought it, and I'm glad I did, just for peace of mind. So the third way I prepared was by taking Spanish lessons online. Now, my friend Kim Rogers, she went to Chile when she was, I believe she said she was 16 as a teenager. And so she began learning Spanish from a very early age, but she has a friend who teaches Spanish, her Spanish instructor, Elvia Reyes. She's amazing. She's beautiful inside and out. And she and her driver actually picked me up at the airport when I got over there, and her driver took me back. So that gave me peace of mind also, to have a driver over there instead of having to use the tuk-tuks, which are three-wheeled little cars that are like cheap taxis, or the Ubers, which are a little bit more. Ubers are pretty safe, but I felt safer being with Elvia's driver that she trusted, and they were both amazing. They helped me so much, and they took me all over Antigua. I did have to pay, but it was a very reasonable cost. But I took lessons from Elvia before I went over there. I wanted to have at least a basic understanding of the Spanish language. I'd never taken Spanish before. I'd taken French in high school, but never Spanish. And I was not anywhere near fluent when I went over there, just bare bones Spanish. Kim, my friend, is very fluent in Spanish. She's been speaking it for many years. She understands it when they speak, and she speaks it very well. And so she was able to translate for me over there, which I was so thankful for. But at least I had a little bit of basics before I went over there. I also used the app Duolingo, which was a supplement to my lessons. I do plan to continue my lessons with Elvia. So I would recommend, before you go over to a foreign country, to at least get some basics in lessons before you go there. And they do have, you can use Google Translate, you can use, and I did buy a Spanish dictionary. I never actually used that, but I was able to use